Hi, this is Jake Mizrahi from Our Natural Kitchen, and today I'm going to give you a tour of our garden. We're going to start on this end and then bring you out to the front. Okay, so starting with a gate, this is about 40 by 5 feet, so that's approximately 200 square feet of garden. Starting over here. This took a couple years to develop, so this was not something that happened in one season. We've been working on this garden since 2012. And now it's 2015, so approximately 3 years, and now we're in the middle of July, or end of July really. So this is what the garden would look like in the end of July. It's still going to grow much more. So let's start over here. Okay, plant right there, that's bee balm, hasn't flowered yet, but you can see it's in a pot in the ground because it spreads. Moving over here, these tall plants are fennel. Not fennel bulbs, but fennel that makes the fennel seeds, and the fennel fronds, which is the leaves, which are actually edible as well. You can make a tea out of it. You can eat it fresh in a salad. Okay, over here you have one variety of mint, and right next to it you have some oregano. So a lot of it's mixed in. Here's a spearmint, and the spearmint's also contained in a half garbage can with an open bottom in the ground. Okay, so you can see each section is somewhat separated by bricks or stones or something to let me know where it is. I had some peas growing in the back over there. They probably needed some more sun. They didn't do so well this year. So here we got 2 rows of different plants. The one on the right here, this is kale. Okay, we pick these often. This is why they're small, and this actually will grow for 2 years. This one is basil. That was planted from seed. Both of these were actually planted from seeds early in the spring and then transplanted into the garden when they got bigger. Moving over to the next section, this is parsley, which has gone to seed already, so if I want more parsley I probably have to plant a new crop. But early in the spring, this was full of leaves that we're able to use, and actually this was parsley from last year. Parsley is a biennial, it lasts 2 years, so this was actually planted last year and came back. Next over is cilantro. Again, this has gone to seed already. You can see the seeds on there, almost ready to start drying. And this is a patch that actually, again, grew back from the seeds that fell from last year. So I did not replant this whole patch right here. This is all cilantro from last year. Again, if I wanted fresh cilantro, I'm actually planting them in a pot for some second crop for this year. In the back there, in the pot, because it also spreads, not in the ground, is a chocolate mint variety. So we already got a couple varieties of mint in there. Moving over, this is another perennial section. So most of this section so far here is perennials, with the exception of the basil and kale. Kale is a biennial, basil is an annual, which means you have to replant it every year. There is a tomato plant hidden over there that was just extra plants. Another one over here that are just thrown into the mix, and a few pepper plants over there. So here we have again a bunch of mixed perennials. Moving in over here, this is an oregano variety, and this other one with the flowers is also oregano. So you have 2 oreganos that are growing all in front. You know, we use this for pastas and other Italian dishes. A big thyme plant in the middle. This was all started from one plant planted 3 years ago. Thyme is actually an evergreen, so that lasts, and that will be here forever, and it'll just keep moving. And I could probably cut off pieces of the sides and give them to someone else, which I will do. In the back you have some lemon balm right over there, and some more oregano, more lemon balm, more mint, and some other stuff mixed in. So again, some of this stuff spreads and multiplies as the time goes on. Here again you have more basil, another row of basil next to the tomato and pepper plants, which said to grow well together. Here you have growing is a second year kale. This is what kale looks like in its second year. If you look on the top, it's starting to make seed pods. Okay, that one's dry right there. Over there. And those seed pods actually you can harvest the seeds and just grow your own kale again. So here's some leaves that are ready to be picked. Okay, and put in, we use them for smoothies mostly. My wife puts them in salads. And again, basil, little kale. In the back we have tomatoes, peppers in cages, cherry tomatoes. I like cherry tomatoes over, you can see, oh, I gotta pick those two right there, they're nice and red. Cherry tomatoes over the large tomatoes because they ripen so much faster and they're less likely to get attacked by bugs and diseases or fall off, and you can pick them more often. You don't have to wait to the end of the season. Just my preference. Again, some smaller tomato plants. Those are actually, that whole patch of tomato plants was from tomatoes that fell from last year's garden. And when they fell, I just buried them in the soil and the seeds came up, and all those tomato plants, I believe they call them volunteers. Also right here you see some new kale growing for another crop of kale, and those were harvested seeds from this year, from last year's crop that I get free seeds I took myself. And right here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This is a checker pattern style of gardening, which I happen to like. I'm experimenting with this year, and I planted some dill there. Okay, so this is for a second crop. We had dill here before, it went to seed. I pulled it all out, harvested everything I could, and then put in new seeds for a second crop for the season. In the back over there, some eggplant, which isn't actually growing too well because I think it needs more sun. Next year I'll have to put it in a sunnier spot. Here you have a really thick row of kale. This kale is doing really well because it's in a sunnier spot versus the kale down there. So, you know, sun makes a big difference in how things grow, and I always like to experiment with putting different things in different places. You have here a vine of kielbasa squash, which actually was grown from seeds from a store-bought kielbasa squash that I just one day put in the pot, and it came up, and I transplanted it to the garden. In the back over there, some more mint and some more pepper plants. Okay. What else did I miss? Oh, I missed actually over here. Sorry to bring you back. We have some chives that you can see the flowers are gone, but you can still harvest the chives all season. I have some regular chives, onion chives, and garlic chives mixed in together. Alright, let's go back towards the front. Again, the kale, the kielbasa squash, some more fennel, some more mint, some more lemon balm, another tomato plant. And here you also have sage. Nice sage plant, which can be used for tea. It could be used, again, in Italian dishes. And in the back you have nice zucchini plants, which I'm still waiting for my zucchinis for this year, but the leaves are really big, which means the plant should be doing well. Nice sunny spot. Okay. And again, this is the side yard. So this side yard, before it was a garden, from here all the way down there was just grass. It was just a side yard that was useless. It was coming back here to mow it, and I didn't fertilize it, I didn't water it, it was not used. So now it's watered by these sprinklers that are set up right along here with an automatic timer. So I don't have to remember to come out here and water it on its own every other day. And again, this was just all grass. So coming to this front fence over here, this is where we go into the front yard. And from here, this was just shrubs and again some grass. So this section here was just used to be a couple bushes that were useless, yew plants and something like that. Now you have 2 blueberry bushes, 1, 2, surrounded by a bunch of strawberry plants that were planted this year. These are strawberries that were planted this year. Sorry, there's a car going by. And again, 2 blueberry bushes, which we've harvested lots of blueberries. You can see some strawberries coming in over there. Some flowers of the strawberries. This is all mulched in cedar mulch, okay, so that we keep it clean. This was an echinacea plant that I planted last year from seeds. And then this is the front yard section of the garden so far. So you can see we've got, instead of bushes and grass, this whole checker pattern here was all grass. Now it's 3 different plants. You have echinacea in the middle. You got more echinacea plants growing over there, and several chamomile plants. This is a chamomile. You can see that one's about to flower. These are a perennial variety of chamomile, which means every year again they'll be back. There's the annual version that you have to replant every year. In the middle is lavender. Okay, so that whole middle column is going to be lavender plants, which you could also, it's edible, but you can use it for fragrance. And again, that back row will be echinacea, like that one right there. Okay, so the rest of the front yard hasn't been developed yet. Still working on that. Right now we got about, again, 5 feet wide and a total of about 55 feet long. That's our garden right now. Thank you for watching. I'll talk more in another video.